Okay, hello everyone. How are you guys doing? Everyone's having a good experience here. Thanks to the organization for having us here. I know that this conference, this might sound like the boringest title of the day, but hopefully I'll convince you that it's something interesting. At least for us, it's quite fun. So, just some quick disclaimer that these are my thoughts. They're not the thoughts of the firm. I'm not trying to sell you anything. And if you have any opinions or anything that sounds like advice, it's not. And here it is in detail, so you guys can read that really quick. Have anyone seen this picture before? On the internet or something like that? I'm going to give you a little challenge just to start. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 faces and/or bodies. Can you guys raise your hand when you've counted all 10 of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I'm getting old. Anyone see? How many people see 8?
I see 9.
You see 9? How many people see 9?
Yeah.
Anyone see 10? Okay. Shh. Okay. So how come 5 of you see 10 and the rest of you see 9? Okay, let's try again. Everyone look and see how many you can count. I'm going to count one more time so you guys can go with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I see 10. Aha! So, what if I tell you that the 10th face is not a human face? Now, how many people can see 10? How many people are still like, what the hell is he talking about? Okay. If I told you it's a zebra, does that help you guys? You guys see a zebra in there somewhere? Let's see if this works, You'll see a little zebra here. It wasn't a trick. What is the difference between what you know this second and you know 1 second ago? That is true. That is a fact. That a zebra is, in fact, a different type of animal than a human being. But it's also on the picture, and it does have a face and a body, right? So the only thing I told you was their faces and bodies. So the only thing that's changed from moment 1 to moment 2 is what you guys thought in your brain. So everyone's heard about paradigm shifts and paradigms, and what I want to talk to you about, and when you see our title, like investing in the utility of Bitcoin, it sounds super boring, right? No. He says no. Okay, you're on the team. Well, I want us to change our paradigm, because that's what happened to me when I met Walton, who's in the audience. Well, I met him long years ago. Walton and Philippe founded our firm a long time ago. Our firm, XBTO, is a trading firm that's been trading with Bitcoin for quite a while. We were a liquidity provider on most of the major markets already in the early 2015. We have APIs into dozens of the exchanges, and we are active as a proprietary trading firm. So what we do is we have algorithmic trading, we have an OTC desk, but what we've done is we built a firm that's completely vertically integrated to build the scalability and security of of cryptocurrency in general. So we have a mining group, we have an international group, we have a group which I head up, which is the venture capital and early stage investment group. We have trading, we have investing, so we do all this stuff. And our mission, our whole vision is to secure and stabilize this sector. So a lot of you are working on technology or Bitcoin Core or these types of things, but there's a whole aspect to this space which is more. We also have an active research and development team, so we do have a Lightning node. We're all looking at Plasma, that kind of stuff internally. So we have a lot of developers internally that are looking all the way down the stack. My role is more on the investment, where we basically focus on venture capital, on fintech, crypto, AI, that type of stuff, with a real heavy emphasis on the crypto markets or crypto infrastructure. We have several companies invested. We have a very strong return. And this is kind of like a little overview of the kind of stuff we do. Not so much to pitch you, to give you a sense of what we do isn't just trading, and what we do isn't just, okay, we're one of these other venture capital firms. We're trying to really encourage these teams to succeed. So let's kind of quickly just jump back. Everyone here has heard of Copernicus' sound money concept. Some people don't know what I'm talking about. Some people looking at me like, what? I'm just going to go back because my audiences are sometimes quite new and sometimes quite advanced. But so what's the problem? The agenda today is what's the problem? Do a quick little review of the background on money utility and what we mean by utility. Talk about why VC, why now, and then waves versus puzzles, and then we'll be done. You guys can see Phil Potter and the fireworks that are going to be on the show soon. I welcome Phil Potter. He's going to be great. So we have a little bit of problems. So let's just go back. I'm going to do a quick review for the people that haven't really seen the kind of like money concept, which is we have a problem that there's risk, expense, and speed in financial transactions and value creation. And I'm going to change. You've heard of the Argentina and Zimbabwe and all these devalued currencies in the fiat world, and it's a big theme here. And you know that they're slow and complex. You know, sending a bank transfer normally takes a lot of time. It touches a lot of institutions. They hold it longer than they should. They take a little piece of your pie and they send it along, right? This is what we all complain about. Anyone see Jeremy's presentation earlier, Casa? I really like that. I really like that. You guys missed it. You guys should definitely check out Casa. I think it's one of the more interesting things going on now. It's expensive. You know, when the government wants more things, they can print more money. There's a cost to store, spend. How does that all affect us? And how does that affect the investment community? It's kind of interesting. I cut this out of a document. What company do you think this is? 2017 performance was 2.7 billion, right? Yeah. 2.7 billion with an increase of 26%. What kind of company does that describe? It's a pretty big company making a lot of revenues, right? What do you think this company does? Anyone guess what this is? This is the U.S. Mint, right? So this is what their P&L of making money, right? And the cost of making money is 26%. That's the cost. That's what they're spending to make all of your fiat money. And if you look here, you can see the engraved, the summary budget activity, 2.7 billion. You can see the minting, engraving. This is what it's costing the real world in the United States to make money. In fact, the Bureau of Engraving is making 38 million notes a day. And they're spending all that money and resources for that. So it's kind of interesting. So you go back to that whole Copernicus, this is kind of funny. Actually, I saw in one of the swag bags, there's a little cartoon description of money. I don't know if you guys saw that in one of the swag bags that Samson sent around. But what is good money? There's an original concept that Copernicus put out, which is sound money. Authenticatable, not easy to falsify or produce. Liquidity is traded with liquid characteristics. It's easy to transport. It's scarce, but with predictable rate of supply. It's divisible, and it has a user base. So it's very similar to what we think Bitcoin's becoming, or hopefully to become. But these are complex concepts. Liquidity, easy transportable, these kind of things, they seem very easy to create. But I want to reframe you in our terms of how I'm looking at investing and what we mean by utility, and give you a different framework, a more simplified measurement of money or this transactionability. So my recategorization is I break it into two things that I think about. One is the brand, and one is utility. Okay, so immediately you can start to get a sense in your mind of what does it mean when you have a new asset or a new money, which is how good is the brand? Quality, characteristics, what's its power and influence? How trustworthy is it? And then the other side is utility. What is it used by? How is it used? Is it what kind of benefit, usefulness, and profit? And just to make it simplified, but to chunk it in a nice way. You can kind of think of cryptocurrency versus fiat currency, which you've heard before. And you can think of proof of work versus proof of power or influence is a concept that I like to think about. That's kind of what fiat is a proof of power, right? The US government has a lot of weapons and trade power and a lot of the utility. What's the main utility of a fiat currency? What's the first utility of a fiat currency? What do you think? Paying taxes, right. So if you can force taxes, and we're in the crypto space, we're at a disadvantage against that because we don't have that. So we need to look at the utility curve as it grows. it's kind of funny when you hear announced like a government or an entity that's going to start accepting tax in Bitcoin. You're like, oh, hee hee. Like, they don't know, right? So, and just quickly to go through these, you can kind of see the U.S. government has a good brand. I'm going to jump quickly through this so we can get into our venture business a little bit. As a utility, it's still good. It's going to be solid for a long time. The Zimbabwe dollar, oh, you can see, you know, what the brand is for us. You can see the Zimbabwe dollar might be nothing now, and it might be declining. The same goes for if we compare like Bitcoin to Ethereum or to tulips, for instance. People always bring up the tulip thing. But it doesn't really make sense if you think of this framework. Because if you think of tulips, as a brand at that moment, they were very solid, but they never had any utility other than growing a tulip. So it's a very like a bad analogy, and there's no good analogies, but it's really the worst analogy you can think of comparing to a Bitcoin potential, right? The Bitcoin potential is at the infancy, and that's why we want to invest. The utility of Bitcoin and the utility of cryptocurrencies it's amazing. All you hear come here because you think it's amazing, but it's so at the beginning of its lifespan. And so it's kind of interesting. If you look at the Google searches, you look during the bubble, we even had the brand of Bitcoin had more interest during the bubble, during the crazy bubble where the media frenzy happened and all the retail investors came in. But you can see that Bitcoin is the blue line here. It's still having a very, very solid representation compared to the US dollar, which has been around forever, right? We've heard of Warren Buffett talking about Bitcoin. Who likes Warren Buffett? Who is Warren Buffett? You must be one of those Bitcoin people. If you guys saw Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett on the news the other day, one was invited to a Bitcoin happy hour, and it's called the Bitcoin People. But I think it's important to mention this because he's exactly the epitome of who would not be interested in investing in our type of thing anyways. He didn't invest in Google, he didn't invest in Facebook, he didn't invest in Amazon. He's not an innovation investor. So his opinion shouldn't really influence us or set us back. In fact, it could be quite optimistic. If you look at these other quotes from other people, Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey, Bill Gates, they're saying things which are really revealing. You know, a lot of the Silicon Valley investors have put money into Bitcoin entities. They're betting with, you know, there's a lot to be said about actual bets. You know, if someone disagrees with you and say, hey, let's put some money on it, you know, as long as it's legal and in the right jurisdiction, you know, you can find out really quickly how much conviction somebody has if they're willing to put the bet on. And that's really, I go back now to what does it mean investing in the utility? And what does it mean for XBTO? Many people don't know who XBTO is. And one of the reasons we're talking here and whatever is because we've now been doing venture investing for a couple of years. And we've really felt a positive feedback from our entrepreneurs that we work with. And we're really feeling like we can make a difference in the sector. And we want to continue doing that. So what we're focusing on is emerging markets and emerging businesses, market functionality, supporting tools, and visionary teams. We want to continue to perpetuate this kind of balance that's emerging in the space. This is kind of interesting. Bitcoin volatility versus other assets. It's a lot of lines here. But what you can see here, which is quite interesting, is that the Bitcoin volatility compared to real estate, stocks, gold, oil, is in the same ballpark. It's not this crazy volatility. It's not way out there. And in fact, one of the things some of the companies that we've been behind or invested in is Luca, which used to be called Libra. They're providing accountability and accounting so you can get an audit if you have crypto assets, which is a huge step in the stability of our space. Second is Deribit, which is now on Exchange Wars number 5. What? 4 as of today? Yeah. It keeps going up. We think we're going to be number 1 very soon. But we were the first investor in Deribit. We love them. They're the pure options, futures, derivatives exchange. And so when you originally thought of Bitcoin, you thought, oh, this is going to be an asset or a store of value of money. But it had all this volatility, and it didn't have And then you heard about the algorithmic traders coming in, which we have internally. And what those are doing, the credit lending desks, the derivative traders, these people are giving the structure to our space that allows it to stabilize. And that's what we've invested in these things. Paradigm is a new one we've invested in, which is actually an OTC chat system for institutional clients to interact with each other and settle their trades very quickly. So if we look at Deribet, you'll see here, among their differences, BitMEX is number 1 here. Huobi is just above us. But here's Coinbase and Kraken, number 6 and 7 in their notional value. So it's doing really well. It's a very solid platform. If you want to trade options or you want to trade some futures or a perpetual swap, you can go to Deribet. It's a plug for them. We'd be happy if you go there. And some of the new opportunities is our whole strategy with Philippe, our CEO, myself, Walton, is to think different and to think into the future of the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin world. What are the structures and companies that we need to invest in or to help the teams have access? And a couple of the examples is Stablehouse, which I don't know if anyone you've heard of, but how many people have heard of stable coins? Phil Potter is going to be on the thing. Everyone wave to Phil. He's coming up on stage soon. Stablehouse is a clearinghouse that we're building for all stable coins to have immediate fungibility so that any exchange or professional trader or institutional entity can do immediately swap between 2 stable coins in the middle of a trade. I don't have a logo here because we're in the middle of negotiations, but we are looking at a new investment in emerging markets, which is where we believe that there's a lot of opportunity now to start moving into the markets which need more access to buying Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies and being able to trade. And Oxio, which is a mobile crypto solution, where we actually invested in mobile solutions that can either with wallets or transactions, that kind of stuff. So a quick little, I don't know how we are on time. I'm trying to speak fast on purpose. It's okay? 3 minutes. Okay, I have like 75 more slides. Do you think I can get through there? No. So you guys have seen these things. Here's a really neat thing about, just looking at stablecoin in the ecosystem, just a predecessor for the next presentation, since you guys came and we're running late anyways. But you can see that there's quite a bit of money in stablecoins, which is why we invested in and we're investing in the Stablehouse concept. There's 3 types. I'm going to skip this just because you guys are going to talk about it, but it's a little plague. I do like all the Lightning stuff going on here. We're actively looking for some sort of play. We're doing Lightning node internally. We were one of the torchbearers internally. So we're actively looking for that, something in that space that we can play. And so I want to leave with one concept, which is the state of blockchain, the VC, and the concept of a bubble versus wave. So everyone's heard of ICOs and that kind of stuff. Whether you like them or not, there's a lot of capital that inflows into this space. A lot of people that are funded to be able to do types of things, and there's also a lot of venture capital. So if we hop ahead, let's see how fast I can go. Boom. So venture capital has reached all-time highs, eclipsing the dot-com bubble that we had before. That's how much venture capital is going into all startups. And there's a percentage of there, I think it's 6 billion, or I think it's 4 or 5 billion that have gone into blockchain or cryptocurrency-related investments. What does that mean? Is that a lot of stupid people chasing a lot of stupid ideas? How many people think that? Okay. How many people think it's a lot of smart people chasing a lot of awesome ideas? No. How about, so this has happened every 5 to 10 years in our innovation sector, that all these people rush in and start to invest. And then you create what's called a bubble. How many people feel like there's a bubble on the investment side? Bubble-ish. Okay. You can actually see here that it's been 67, 52 billion in investments into startups. So hopefully you guys have got some of that money in your startups. And just in the New York Metro, we've seen an increase, which is contrarian to a lot of the other sectors, which is a good thing, because in New York we have a lot more, in the US at least, we have a lot more crypto-related opportunities or blockchain-related stuff. So I want the concept of the bubble and the wave to leave you with this, which is I don't like the word bubble, and I don't think it means anything. You know, a lot of this money comes in, and you have this visual in your mind of it pops. I like the visual of wave. Think of an actual ocean wave. What happens is all this energy comes into shore at one time, capital, ideas, innovation, and it swells. And you get this huge amount of energy coming in, and if you're the team that's agile with good integrity, hard work, good innovation, and you can surf really fast and catch that wave, there's only going to be 10, 15, 20 companies that catch the wave and ride it all the way to shore, and then it's going to crash and crush everyone else on the wave and sing back. We saw that kind of like a crypto winter moment. All the capital disappears, all of the opportunity disappears for a short period of time as it recollects, and you go through this cycle again. And what it is it's a strengthening process. If you're anyone here surf? I'm from California, so I am not a good surfer. I have to admit, I'm a horrible surfer, but I have been on the waves. But when you do get crushed and you swim out there again, you get stronger. And this is a way that we're filtering out which companies are good and bad. And I think that this is how we hold value and transact and conduct our business in a world that is more global, more digital, and accelerating, and then decentralized. What we're doing is this wave is creating the strong solutions. We see Lightning or Casa or Blockstream, sticking it out so long, and they're coming out with their Liquid network, which we're one of the functionaries on. There's a lot of opportunities that take just time. And what we see in the news is just misinformation. You took a lot of information, you took $2 million in your startup, and why don't you have a product? How many people here have launched a product before? Software product? So I'm getting old, I have gray hair, so I've been doing software since I was 21. I've never seen a software product that launches in a year or 6 months, right? It takes 3 years to get a solid product, maybe another 2 where you get traction. And all this bubble that we saw the last couple of years has been a wave, but we still need to see the results of it. So just to end the presentation and talk about how our company works is we have a broad base of activities at our firm. I'm focused on the venture capital, so I'm focused on the teams and helping the teams get access to our network and get access to capital and be successful. The companies that we invest in end up doing business together very often. It's like a family that we're creating, and we're not like a traditional VC where we're out there and it's like we're powering through the term sheet in a certain way. We really want these people to be successful. And so, just to close up, I just want to thank the MCC and thank all of you for coming, and thank you very much.